What is going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back. We're talking to one championship fighter, James Yang, who's got a fight coming up against Roel Rosauro here in a couple of weeks. Welcome, James. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, let's get to know you a little bit. This is the first time we've chatted, and I'm going to start off with what you and Goes were chatting about. Rick and Morty. Is that kind of like, are you a TV guy, or is that just your show? Tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not training or fighting.
When I'm not training and fighting, man, to be honest, I'm always just thinking about it. I mean, I watch a lot of fight videos, to be honest, and different disciplines and martial arts. But yeah, I love Rick and Morty, obviously. It's pretty funny. I just threw the sweater on because it's pretty cold right now out in Seattle. But yeah, man, Rick and Morty is hilarious. I also love watching documentaries. I mean, every time I can learn something on watching TV, I mean, that's a plus for me. So
yeah. Well, we read up a little bit about you, and we'll get to the fight in just a second. It's going to be your pro debut. As an amateur, you've looked outstanding. I was telling Goes, what jumps out at me is a power in both hands, accuracy in both hands, very patient. It doesn't seem like you like to waste energy just kind of winging, you know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know, you look very polished for somebody debuting.
Well, you know, if you want to go for a knockout, it's not about just swinging wild. You have to. It's like a marksman. You got to breathe, be calm, aim, and fire. I mean, that's the way it is. So, I mean, I just gotta keep improving my skill sets. You know, I mean, whatever I've done in the amateurs. I mean, this is a whole new jump up of competition. But you know, I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and there's a reason why I'm getting this push here. So, I want to take the full advantage of this opportunity and do the best that I can to maximize my potential.
Your boxing looks nice. Your kickboxing, I should say, in the sense of I saw some footage where you kicked somebody, they fell down, then you came in with some very nice hands. But I also know that you've spent some time Shaolin Temple studying Kung Fu. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. So when I was 17, after I graduated, I was going to take a little break before going to college and living the typical, American life, like college, job, and wife and all that stuff. But I decided to go to a Shaolin martial art academy in northeast China. It kind of borders Korea, North Korea, and Russia. It's like in between that little piece of land. And yeah, I was out in the mountains for about 3 years. I ended up staying for 3 years.
Wow.
I got an opportunity to. I mean, altogether, I stayed in China for 4 years, but I stayed 3 years in that academy. It was like rural China, and honestly, it shaped me and made me the man I am today, man. I was like subjected to the elements, real rough living conditions. Like, you're using the bathroom and like you're squatting down. There's people like all around you squatting, looking at you while you're, what I mean? Like it's a shock to American lifestyle, for sure. But I wouldn't trade anything for the world for that, man. It was like one of the most beautiful experiences. And I really grew and developed as a human being in that time frame.
That's amazing. If you don't mind, if we can spend a couple minutes on that. I'm just curious. Your plan wasn't to go for 4 years. It sounds like something where you went and then extended it because it was you were learning so much.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to train with the Shaolin martial arts, Shaolin martial arts in general, Shaolin monks, because I mean that's where at that time that's why I believe are the home place of all martial arts came from. It all stemmed from Shaolin Kung Fu, But yeah, man, I met a lot of people that changed my perspective on how to live my life, and I just decided to chase after my dream. And I got an opportunity to perform with the demo team, which as a foreigner from America, I mean, no one really gets that opportunity. It's a very rare opportunity. So in that opportunity, I got to travel around China, all around Asia, performing, touring, and I performed for the biggest performance I did was like for the Indian Cricket League, and it was like a packed out stadium full of like thousands of people. And I mean, that was just an amazing experience, and I even performed for Bollywood award show, and it was just a beautiful experience. But I mean, that traveling was really like, it wasn't glamorous or anything. It wasn't like we're flying nice planes. I mean, we're sitting on a bus for 18 hours standing up just to get to the dang airport in Beijing. That's how far we had to go. And I fell asleep like standing with people like to the front of me, to the back of me, to the side of me. And I just had to like lay on some random people's shoulders, and just chickens on the carts. And it was just like, it was a special experience for sure, because it definitely humbled me and made me appreciative of being in America. And just to give you an example of what the school is like, it's like you're waking up by alarm at 5 a.m. in the morning. You got to go out for your morning runs, and you're basically training from 5 a.m. all the way till 8 at night. You get 2 hours of hot water at night, and it's like six showers of like little faucets, and it's all moldy and nasty in there. Everyone crams in there for those hours, trying to get a shower in, and it's just like favor fighting for just simple luxuries, In wintertime, it's dark outside and it's cold and freezing. You got to do your laundry by hand and all that, and your hands are like freezing cold, and you got to wring it out. But that's all mental training for me. I watch grown men like literally have breakdowns, like crack, and like it was quite a sight to behold. But I just had to stay. I mean, the reason why I was there, I knew what I signed up for. The reason why I was there was to train kung fu, Shaolin kung fu. That I can't learn that. I couldn't learn that at the time anywhere else. So. Very appreciative of that whole journey of that living out there. And then my 4th year, I moved to Beijing. I went to a professional sports school called Cirque du Soleil, and that's where Jet Li went to school, and he graduated out of there. And that was like the first time I got to train with like professional, a mixture of professional athletes. It's not just wushu athletes. It's like professional ping pong players, professional badminton, boxers, taekwondo athletes, gymnastics. It was all a big range of athletes, and I got to pick everyone's brain and just see how people train that out of, at a high level.
That last academy almost sounds like the United States Olympic Training Center, something along the lines of that.
Yeah, well, so like every city and in China has like a professional sports team. And so that was just the Beijing sports team. That at the time, their wushu team was like one of the best in the country, and it had like worldwide fame. So I got to train and work with those athletes, and it was a really big eye-opening experience. Because although the Shaolin training was very important, it was like very good to get that in my belt. It's not sustainable for a long periods of time. Because during all that training, I got injured and stuff, and I had to work through injuries, and just because I was doing acrobatics on concrete, and like there's just things will happen where you break an ankle or sprain an ankle, injure yourself. You got to work around those injuries, and it wasn't like the best. Scientifically, it wasn't the best training, but mentally, it was like the best push I could have had, because it made me a lot stronger and tougher. And yeah, just go back to that Shaolin Academy. Every month we would have a test at the end of the month. So you either do a form that you've been working on, or you fight somebody, or you got to do some breaking, whatever you're working on. And I saw this guy try to he was trained Iron Head, and he was trying to break a brick on his head, right? It was my brother from Canada. But the first time he did it, dude, it was rough, dude. He hit it and like gave himself a concussion, got wobbly. And then that whole month, he came back and trained his ass off for it. And he comes back and he goes, bonk, he hits himself in the head. And then like a streak of blood starts coming down. And he just screams out and just boom, smashes through it. And I was like, man, that's some perseverance right there. Because, whatever you can say about that kind of training, it was pretty hardcore, man. And guys were really giving it all. They're all out there. So it was I can't speak enough about it. And the punishment too, and like if you were to break a curfew or break a rule, like electricity is cut out at 10 a.m. every night, and if you're like caught outside the school or anything, and you're like messing around or bring alcohol into the school, they're gonna line you up in the morning and from the entire academy, and then break a stick over your backside. Like they're gonna put you in like a push-up plank position and just beat you with it. And it's usually gonna be your coach that has to do it. And it's like it's like emotional trauma. It's like physical drama, but only the strong survive. It's a way to weed people out, I think. So I felt like it was almost like a jail yard, because everyone had to wear like orange jumpsuits, and there was like a basketball court on cobblestones out there. And any new student that would be coming into the school, all the students are there like, who's this new guy coming in here? Huh? Who's this? And no one would like talk to him or anything. And it's just a way to like, see if you're gonna make it or not, survive out here or not. Because it's like I said, tough survive, man. And that's just how it was.
I'm blown away right now. I probably have like 10 follow-up questions. This is so interesting. But what you've described sounds like it was very spiritual, mental, physically challenging, all for the betterment of yourself. You matured a lot. But at times, like if somebody were to walk in the room halfway through, they'd be like, oh, did he do time in prison? Was he in the military? Like they threw a lot at you as a young guy, but it really seems to have, you seem to have come out of there along the lines of like what a Navy SEAL or somebody or an elite Army Force Ranger, would boast about the types of skills, physical and mental. It's amazing.
Yeah, man, it's like Hell Week, but for 3 years, But I love that, that's why I signed up for it. It's what I wanted, and I never complain about it ever, because it definitely shaped me and made me who I am today. it made me grateful also to just be from America. Like I didn't, at the time I was just a young kid. I didn't realize what it's like outside of here. I felt like I was kind of a spoiled brat at that point, basically, because I just had no idea what the luxuries that we had here are so immense compared to how some people live. But that being said, these people I was living next to are like, in Northeast China is kind of known as like the Dongbei. People are kind of known as like the rough Northerners, and I was living out in the fields, like the farming fields, and they have nothing, but they're like the happiest people I've ever met in my life, with like hearts of gold. And that was very special for me to see too, because you can have nothing amenity wise, or like but it doesn't mean you're a bad person or a good person. They were like the happiest people and the nicest people that I've ever been around.
James, so what was do you remember the things that went into the decision to leave?
Yeah, man. I mean, at that time, home life wasn't the best. But now, me, everything at home is good. But I mean, that was just something that I just wanted to do, man. As a martial artist, as a young kid, I always wanted to do that. That was like kind of almost like a dream, a goal I had, was to go train with Shaolin monks and be a Shaolin monk. And I got the opportunity, and the price of it wasn't that immense. It was only like $4,000 for the whole year. And compared to college, that's where I got my education basically. And I went over there, I didn't even speak a lick of Mandarin. I speak Cantonese Chinese, which is like, if I had to compare it, like so people understand, it's like Portuguese to Spanish. It's similar but very different. And I just went over there and I couldn't talk to nobody, and I had to just figure it out and kind of teach myself Mandarin. And just that's another aspect of traveling on your own and learning how to communicate with people that don't speak the same language as you. And then over time I started teaching myself Mandarin and start figuring it out. So that was it was just a very important time in my life, for sure.
So here you are in one championship, and George alluded to your amateur record is very impressive. Do you remember the moment where you felt like, okay, I'm going to let go of the amateur career, it's time to become a pro? Was there something that stood out that made you make that decision?
I mean, when I started pursuing just fighting in general, I made my move to go to AMC Kickboxing and Pancration. I wanted to I was training myself at the time, training with some guys, and it was just like I was getting to a point where I was just kind of plateauing, and I never done any like groundwork. I did a lot of striking, and there's takedowns in that, like Sanchao or Sanda, but I always thought in my head, like, what happens if I hit the ground? This is incomplete training. I have weapons experience, I have fighting on the feet and takedowns and all this, but I need to learn more. And so when I went there, I just realized, this is what I wanted to do. And at that time, I was working in aerospace factories, and this is why I came back from China. I had to just get money, make money. I was working in aerospace factories, and I was doing UPS package handling. And I was teaching wushu on the side too. And I was just like, man, I'm spending like 4 hours in traffic every day, just wasting my day. It felt like, compared to what I've been doing for the last 4 years. And I'm just like, am I gonna let those 4 years go to waste, or am I gonna act upon it and maximize it? And that at my age and at my time in my life, I was like, I have to pursue this because I'll never have this opportunity again. And if I don't do it, I'll live my life thinking, what if I tried it? What if? And I just didn't want to live my life like that. So that is why I pursued what I did. And luckily, I went to AMC Kickboxing and Pancration and had good chemistry with my teammates, and everyone there became like family. And I just kept growing and learning. And then I started competing for them in the amateur circuits and having success. And, for my coach and their, belief is that, like any profession, you have to be tested. And whether you become a lawyer or a doctor, there's like certain benchmark tests that you have to hit along the way to become certified or get that profession. And so for the amateur fights, that's what that's like. Each fight is a test. And are you going to just win, boringly and by points, or is it close? Are you going to go back and get better? All these things are going to be factors whether you're going to be able to become a pro or not, because, that's just the goal wasn't just to become a professional fighter. It's also is to be one of the best in the world. And, I could have just started fighting in a casino, but I decided to gut it out the amateur career so that I can improve my skill set, improve my mind, figure out what's the best way to get better, and that's why I'm here now.
You get a lot of rounds in with Demetrius Johnson and Bibiano Fernandez?
Yeah, definitely. Every time they getting ready for fights, even out of fights, DJ and I always training together. And when Baby gets ready for fights, he comes down. We worked a lot together, extensively together. Prepared for a lot of fights over like the last seven years now. And yeah, man, those guys are just nothing but inspirations to me, like my big bros. And yeah, I just listen to what they say and take what their experience and learn from them.
Did I also hear that at some point you were a performer for the Cirque du Soleil shows?
Yeah, so I auditioned. So there's an audition for CAW, the show in MGM.
Yeah.
And thousands of people send videos to it, and all those videos they selected 16 people, and then they did a live audition in Vegas. And of that 16, they only took 2 people out of there, and I got taken into the database as one of those people. And I got an opportunity. I just perform for Zumanity. They wanted me to do Zumanity, like it's the burlesque show. And I don't know. It was cool, but it's just not what I want to do at this time in my life. And I turned down a couple of shows actually. But I definitely want to perform with them for sure in the future, maybe after my fight career, if all things, if I'm still healthy and everything. But basically, they wanted me to get my fire of competition out of my system before I go make the jump full time for a Cirque, because that's a full time commitment. I won't be able to train and do what do this anymore, because that's like 2 shows a night, 6 days a week, and it's nonstop. Plus you got to do all your makeup and everything, and a lot of training goes into it. But definitely a goal still that I will go back and do it again in the future.
James, to be fair, you did squat in front of other men. I don't think the burlesque show should shock you at this point, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I mean, it's just if my parents can't come watch that kind of show,
I got you. All right. Interesting. Yeah, our studio is right across from the Michael Jackson show, which is a Cirque show at the Mandalay Bay. And we've I think Goes has been to more of them, but I've been to like 3 or 4. I really enjoy them, and what I like more is the physicality, the acrobatic stuff. I mean, the Michael Jackson one's a little bit different because dude's performing, and then the Beatles one is pretty cool as well. But I just really get a kick out of all the tumbling and all that stuff that I would never dare do. Even in a full helmet and protective gear, I can't bring myself to run, jump, and trust that the rest of my big old body is gonna make the flip so that I can land correctly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, man. The thing that I learned about acrobatics is that you can't hesitate. Yeah. That's just like anything in life. If you hesitate, you're gonna injure yourself pretty badly. You just gotta go for it 100%. And you do that, you probably have a lot better chance of landing on your feet than like half-assing or like it's like that fear hurdle. Everyone has that. It's like a biological instinct to try to protect yourself, and you just gotta learn how to overcome that fear.
I'm gonna ask you a silly question here, because I wonder things that are silly. If you're in the show and you're doing what you're doing, right, physical stuff, and then the next part calls for you to run and kind of in midair jump and do like a somersault, right? If in midair you get a cramp in your calf, what do you do? Like, does the show allow you to kind of like stumble out and everyone else performs, or do you just have to gut it out?
You gotta gut it out. I mean, if that happens in the mid-show, I mean, you have to figure out, because you're performing from, all these people that are watching you perform, they paid hard-earned money to come see you, and it's your obligation to give your best effort. Even if you get injured, whatever happens, you gotta work through that pain. At least that's what I would do. I don't know about every athlete or every performer, but for me, that's what I would do, because it's almost like an obligation to do that for them, But it's different if you break your leg or something. I mean, then you gotta figure out how to get off the stage. But yeah, if it's just a little cramp, that ain't nothing to stop you. You just gotta go through it.
That's crazy, man. I was making my bed earlier and I stubbed my toe, and for like 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm folded in half. And I just can't imagine, in real life situations, when you're performing, how people play it off. I'm sure there's a lot of stories, singers, entertainers of all kinds, Broadways, where just something, is off physical, but they got to power through it. And we may never see it. They're just smiling and doing what they need to do and carrying on. The show must go on, right?
Of course. Show always must go on. But, on the stubbing the toe thing, if you ever stub your toe, it's almost like that's training right there of mental training right there. You got to take that pain and just absorb it and love it, because that's what it is, man. It ain't that bad.
When people are watching, you'd be amazed how you can play it off, because you don't want to look dumb. When you bump your knee, people are around or something, and you just go, oh, and then you just kind of like tough it out. You have your tough it out face. But when you're alone, everyone turns into a big baby, fetal position. Anyway, hey, listen, man. I want to wish you the best in your debut. 6-0 as an amateur, and
7-0. Sorry.
7-0. Oh, okay. I apologize.
We got it wrong in Tapology, but whatever.
7-0. All right, 7-0. It looks like you're a finisher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I'm looking forward to it. From fight number 1, they have you listed. The fight card's called Revolution, folks, and of course the fabulous One Championship app, BR Live app, is there for you. This card is headlined on September 24th. It's a Friday here with a 8:30 a.m. Eastern start time. Christian Lee will be headlining that card. Maybe one day we'll be talking to you about your upcoming fight with Christian Lee. That'd be, I think, pretty epic someday. I'm going to remember this. You debuting, Christian Lee headlining. You guys are in the same weight class, and I'm sure you have a bullseye on them.
Yeah, I have bullseye on all the guys in the weight division, but it's a stacked weight division, so I'm just ready to get out there and perform. I appreciate it a lot, Gorgeous George, and you guys are. I love MMA Junkie, guys, so I'm a big fan of the show. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, and hopefully we can chat with you again in studio. We got to unpack that 4-year run you had in Northeast China. My mind was blown with all the questions that I had, but I respect what you did and what you went through, man. That's amazing. But yeah. Thanks again, James.
Thank you, guys. Absolutely. I'll be happy to come in anytime. So thank you guys for having me, and hope we'll talk to you guys in the future.